والصلاة والسلام على أنبياء المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين نعم.
Amin ya Rabbi. Na muna jin ka Ambu Fama, sorry.
Farko dai don niyan da aka yi wanga zama Allah ya sa mu dace. Bayan haka kuma ciwo Allah ya raba mu da ciwo, kuma wasu mu da ke da ciwo Allah ya ba mu lafiya. Kuma kokarin da kuke yi na daga a sanar da mutane awareness game da shanin ciwo, kuma Allah ya ba ku ladan shi. Shi Dr. Okyere Sherif kuma da ya fito Amin Scientific, mun gode mai da shi kuma dai zai tattauna muna bar mu san ainihin da ke tare da ciwon hypertension, shi kuma Allah ya mai kariya. Allah ya ɗaukaka shi. Hospitalin su Amin Scientific na da labarin su kuma suna kokar kwarai da gaske. Allah ya sa albarka cikin hospital baki daya. اللهم ارحمنا بالقرآن واجعله لنا إماما ونورا وهدى ورحمة. اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار واجعله لنا حجة يا رب العالمين. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم صل وسلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين.
Mun gode Ambu Fama. Allah ya saka da alkhairi. Allah ya saka da alkhairi. So bayan haka nan bari mu go right into the introduction. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to this special edition of VitaScope, where faith meets science and tradition merges with innovation for the sake of healing. I am your host, Dr. Halima S. Mohammed. And today, by Allah's grace, we will address the silent killer, but powerful force affecting millions of lives all over the globe: hypertension. High blood pressure isn't just numbers on the chart. It is our stress, our food, our history, and how our bodies carry the weight of our choices and our communities. But today, we reclaim knowledge through science, herbal wisdom, and spiritual grounding. I am deeply honored to be joined by a man of intellect and insight, Dr. Okyere, who walks the bridge between ancient herbal practices and modern scientific tools. Together, we will unpack the real roots of hypertension and empower you with practical, culturally relevant tools to manage and even reverse hypertension and empower you today naturally and effectively. So stay with us, ask your questions, bring your heart, bring healing, because healing begins when we choose to understand and to act. So let's begin. Dr. Okyere Sherif, welcome. I am deeply honored, as I mentioned earlier, to be joined by you today. Thank you for giving us your time and your energy and knowledge. Thank you very much. Welcome to the program of VitaScope with Dr. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thanks so much for the wonderful introduction. I'm also privileged and honored to be in your midst this afternoon. It's afternoon in Ghana. I don't know the time.
It's morning in US.
Oh, okay. So it's good morning and good afternoon to everyone. It is always a pleasure to share knowledge, to discuss pertinent issues when it comes to our health, because I always say that health is wealth. If you are healthy, it means that you are rich. You understand? Because it is one thing that at a point in your life, even money cannot buy it. So it is always important that we pay particular attention to things that will go a long way to affect our health positively. And as a matter of fact, some of these discussions, some of these deliberations will go a long way to affect our health positively. So I will entreat each and every one who is with us this afternoon or this morning to kindly share the live for others to also join. Usually they say, on TikTok, when you type or when you like the live, the more you like it, the better the live goes for people to also benefit. So it's because it's very, very important. And one of the more reason why we should share for each and every one of us to join is the fact that we are discussing a topic that is so common with each and every household. It is so common with each and every household, because I always say that it is probably one condition that is in every home.
Absolutely.
Whichever
Absolutely.
home that you enter, you will find one or two people having this condition, which is hypertension. So we are going to delve into that, what it is, what actually even causes the hypertension, what are some of the risk factors. We'll look at some of the signs and symptoms. Then we'll delve into the complications and all that. It will be. I want this discussion to be very interactive. So maybe if you have a question or contribution whatsoever, you bring it up so that it will be very interactive, because I always want my lecture to be very interactive, so that we're all going to appreciate it much better. So that's basically what we are going to do during this section. Just as Adia mentioned earlier, my name is Okyere Sherif. I am in Ghana. I work with Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital in Ghana here. So that's it. I'm a Muslim, although my name is Okyere, but I'm a Muslim. So I'm part of you, so please don't say that there's an intruder. I'm from home. I'm from home, so please, if you see the name, don't be worried. The Sherif is there, so I'm a Muslim, and it gives me joy, especially when I'm engaging with my Muslim brothers and sisters. Whether we like it or yes, it is one thing that we lack as a community.
Yeah.
We lack as a community, and we pay less attention to some of these things. So it's always gives me joy when, as a community, as a ummah, we are paying attention to some of these little details, especially when it comes to our health. Yes. So back to the discussion. Hypertension. We've heard it countless times. Hypertension. When we say hypertension, what is it about? I usually will describe hypertension as cardiac output times the peripheral resistance. Cardiac output times peripheral resistance. The cardiac output is what we all know as the primary function of the heart. We all know blood moves into our heart, and the heart's primary objective is to pump blood into circulation. Now, the work done by the heart is the cardiac output. So when blood are moved into the heart, especially within the ventricles, and then the heart squeezes itself to pump this blood into circulation, that action is being classified as your cardiac output. So there's some level of force or energy that the heart will exert before blood is moved into circulation. So that force is what we call cardiac output. Now, the second part is the peripheral resistance, which is usually the barriers or the impedances or the troubles that the blood suffers whilst it's moving through the blood vessels. Because we all know blood moves through blood vessels, the arteries and all those things. So now, if the heart pumps blood into circulation, that blood circulation that is happening Is the blood moving freely? Is there any obstacles within the arteries that is causing problem with the way the heart moves?
So
That is
give me
what we
1 second.
call. Okay.
Jama'a, don Allah, idan wani na son ya zo sama, ka iya ka join mu. So that as doctor na magana idan kana da question, za ka iya ka tambaye shi. Because we want this session to be very, very interactive. Yes, I don't land there. Can I song join him? Please come up, come with your questions so that if you have any question, you can ask. Thank you very much. WhatsApp muna ku share muna. Thanks. Docs, we can hear, please. Thank you.
Yes. So the peripheral resistance is also another force that will cause barrier or troubles as to how blood moves within the blood vessels. So these two forces is what determines how your blood pressure is. And for blood pressure, we all have it. We all have blood pressure. We should take note to every living human being has blood pressure, because without this pressure, there's no way blood will be able to move through the body.
The word is
The blood pressure
everybody has it.
We all have blood pressure. It only becomes a problem when the blood pressure goes high. So with hypertension, it only means high blood pressure. It's different from blood pressure. So we should all take note. Every living human being has blood pressure, but not every living human being has high blood pressure. So you only have high blood pressure when your cardiac output goes high, same way when your peripheral resistance goes high. Why would your cardiac output goes high? Why? So some of the factors: if there's a problem within the ventricles, if there's a problem within the aorta, if there's a problem with the way the heart pump blood into circulation and all those things. And then also with the peripheral resistance, why would it go high? If there's your arteries become so stiff, if there's high cholesterol that starts deposits within the lumen of the arteries and all those things. So all these things could cause the blood pressure to the peripheral resistance to go high. And because it is directly the high blood pressure has a direct effect on your cardiac output, and your peripheral resistance has direct effects on your BP. If it goes high, it automatically affects your BP. So if your cardiac output goes high,
So jama'a, once again, kamar yadda kuka sani, muna tattauna hypertension ne tare da Dr. Okyere Sherif of Amen Scientific and Herbal Clinic. Ina ji ko ya samu wani technical issue. Doc, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Mashallah.
So anything that will cause your cardiac output to go high or your peripheral resistance to go high could affect your BP. Now, ideally, for every living human being, when you check your BP, when you go to the hospital, it is one thing that every person, when you go to the hospital, that is the first thing they will check for you. Checking the BP is that machine that is put around your forearm, and then you see the nurses inflating. They will put something within their ear and check for something. That is to check your BP. Ideally, there's always a range for everyone. If we are checking your BP, there's a range, and this range is dependent on so many factors. It is dependent on your age. It is dependent on your sex. It is dependent on your BMI, your body mass index. It is dependent on even your mental states. You understand? It is
Mustafa
also
barka da shi.
it is also dependent on your emotions because all these things could affect your BP. Now, the range, the normal range for BP is usually the BP when you check
I hope
it
everybody
is
can hear
one
us
figure
clearly.
over. Usually the BP when you go to the hospital you see them writing one figure. So let's say 120 over 80. So the top one usually is the systolic.
Kaman doc ya
The
samu
sex, the BMI, and all those things, it should range between 100 to 100 and say 39. And for diastolic BP, it should range from 60 to say 95 or say 94. You understand? So if you go to the hospital and all things being equal, you check your BP and you get within these ranges, 100 for the top figures. I don't want to confuse people with this systolic and diastolic. The top figures, the one they write it on top, which is the top figures. If you get in between 100 to 139, or say 139, it is within range. Any figure above that, say so from 140 up to whichever figure, which is about 200 and something, it means that your systolic pressure is high. Same way, if you check for the down figures and it starts from 95 going up, 95, 100 and all those things, it means that your BP is going high. But mind you, for someone to be diagnosed of having hypertension, it is not just by checking the BP once, unless probably the person is presenting with a very high BPs. So in the hospital, someone can just walk in and you check the BP and it say 250 over 150 or 260 over 160. These figures are extremely high. And even with that, there are so many factors that you need to take into consideration. You need to talk to the person. What have you been doing? Did you even walk to the hospital? Are you thinking about something? You let the person rest a little while and check the BP again. So ideally for you to be able to diagnose someone of having hypertension, you should have checked the BP at least 3 times at 3 different occasions. 3 times at 3 different occasions. So we should all take note of that. 3 times at 3 different occasions. Not just you've been to the hospital now, you check it, we check the BP for once now, then we are diagnosing you of having BP. No, it doesn't work that way. Usually, unless the person is presenting with a very high BP, just as I mentioned earlier. If not, you have to check it at least 3 consecutive times at 3 different intervals. And at these intervals, if you are able to record high BPs, then you can actually diagnose that person of having high blood pressure or hypertension.
Dr. Okyere,
Now, yes,
I want to come in with some statistics to help
good.
people understand how important this hypertension is.
That's fine. That's perfect.
Before we continue. So jama'a,
Yes.
yanzu da yake mun fahimci me ake ce ma hypertension. Ina son in jawo hankulanmu kaɗan game da yanda wannan cutan yake ci mana tuwo a ƙwarya. Ku duba wani statistics daga Ghana da Nigeria da Europe da America garin da nake. In ka duba Ghana, about 36% of the population, according to a research study, suna tare da hypertension. Idan muka zo Nigeria, about 30 to 45% of the population with adults ages 18 and above suna da hypertension, which is wanga ciwon hawan jini. Europe, about 30 to 50% of the population. America kuwa 47%. Nan, menene ainihin matsalar? The sad part of this is that in ka je Ghana, kamar 19% of mutane suka ma san kamar suna da wannan BP ga. Nigeria, about 20 to 25% suka san kamar suna da hypertension. Europe, wannan mutane da yawa sun san suna da hypertension. Idan ka zo US, da yawa kuma su ma sun san suna da hypertension. Sai sa menene difference? Ramu saka mun gode Allah ya sa. Menene difference? Zaka ga kaman garuruka na Turawa sun san more about wannan ciwon nan saboda care da ke wurin, the type of health care nawa ke iya su control. A Ghana, less than 15% suka samu suna control BP su. Nigeria dai ba a magana. Control nan is very, very low. Amma Europe kuwa 50 to 60% of adults with hypertension are under control. America, ban mamaki. Only 25% of people with hypertension suke under control. To menene ke faruwa in terms of the management? Daga Ghana, suna rely heavy, we're about 70% on herbal medicine. Wanda muke discuss nan ga da Dr. Okyere Sherif na Amen Scientific. She kuma Nigeria suna use behavior da kuma herbs. Amma idan ka zo Europe, strongly kan primary care shine the traditional orthodox medicine. America kuma yana da very high ne a cikin bakaken da suka fito Africa da bakaken da suke garin ga. Sai sa kaga kamar inda duk aka samu baki, inda da aka samu bamu kula da wannan abin da dama, according to the research studies up to 2024. Dr. Okyere, please continue. Thank you very much. Doc, I think you can now continue to talk about.
Okay, yes. So I think these are very important statistics, and just as I mentioned earlier, it is one condition that is so common. The fact that I always say that for every home, probably there's someone having that condition. These statistics just, prove that point. Because if you look at the numbers, if you look at these statistics that you just gave out, it tells how serious or how common this condition is. And so just as I was saying with the definition, when you check the BP, because a lot of times, especially back home, there are people who are misdiagnosed of having hypertension without them having the condition, because of the fact that probably that day they went to the hospital, and their BPs were high, and just for the fact that the BP were high at that time, they were diagnosed of having hypertension, which in reality, they might not be the true reflection on what is happening. So we should always kindly take note that before you are diagnosed of having hypertension, you qualify these criteria that I'm giving, that the BP is checked at least 3 times. And all these 3 consecutive times, you realize that your BP is above these ranges that we are talking about. That is the top figures, which is the systolic BPs, being above ranges from 100 to 139, and the diastolic being above figures from 60 to 95. You understand? Now, with hypertension, we have about 3 types of it. For now, we have about 3 types of hypertension that is common with us, which is the primary hypertension, secondary hypertension, and gestational hypertension. Primary hypertension, secondary hypertension, and gestational hypertension. So now I will take my time and break them into pieces so that you really understand. Now, with primary hypertension, mostly even doctors don't really know the cause of the condition. So it is known as, it has no known identifiable cause. So you ask doctors and the medical personnel, and they can't really figure out what's exactly causing that kind of BP. And there are people who are suffering from such situations like that. With secondary hypertension, which forms majority of the hypertension cases that we have, you realize that the condition usually comes based on underlying situation. The condition usually comes based on underlying situations. What are some of the underlying situations that could predispose someone in getting hypertension? There are a number of them. The most common ones is people who are having issues with cholesterol. You put now, and for cholesterol, you put 10 people down, and about 6 to 7 people are having issues with cholesterol. About 6 to 7 people are having cholesterol. People who are battling with high cholesterol have higher risk of developing hypertension. Same way, there are people who have issues like kidney problems, kidney diseases, and it's too people who have hypertension can develop kidney problem, and people who have kidney problems can also develop hypertension. And with secondary hypertension, kidney condition, especially with chronic kidney diseases, such people have higher risk of developing hypertension. So that is one thing we should all take note. If you are having issues with hypertension, the tendency of you developing hypertension is very high. There are conditions that are not too common, like endocrine disorders like pheochromatoma, Cushing syndrome, hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, and all those things. These are endocrine conditions. They are real conditions, but if one is having any of these conditions, it could predispose a person in developing hypertension. Same way, if someone is having what we call vascular situations, vascular situations like what? Like renal artery stenosis, coarctation of the aorta, which has to do with the blood vessels. So if you're having any issue with your blood vessels, whether the blood vessels are stiff, whether there are issues with the aorta and all those things, these things can predispose someone in developing what we call secondary hypertension. Apart from that, there are other conditions and there are other lifestyle situations that could also predispose someone in getting hypertension. like being obese, obesity. You are putting more weight day in day out. Your weight is going high day in day out. You are putting in more weight. It could affect your BP. Obesity could go a long way to affect how or could cause hypertension in a lot of people. And then again, there are conditions like diabetes. Mostly, you see people who have diabetes developing hypertension, and people who have hypertension developing diabetes. So they are like twins. One will automatically bring the other. So that is why it is so important that if you have hypertension or if you have diabetes, you need to be very, very careful, because your risk of developing hypertension from diabetes is always very, very high. There are lifestyle situations like smoking, alcoholism, and one thing that we usually don't talk about mostly is stress, and some other mental health situations like depression and all those things. All these conditions could go a long way to affect your BP, especially when it comes to secondary hypertension.
So,
Now we
you
look,
see,
yes,
so if I may interrupt you quickly, so
yes,
that means it becomes mental health becomes even more important in management of some of these diseases. So it
I
becomes
tell you,
important for her to try and stay um mentally fit to reduce the amount of stress we have in our lives.
of course, of course, of course, there are a lot of people who have developed hypertension from stress of any form. It could come from anywhere. It could come from work, it could come from home, it could come from marriage, it could come from children. Because of course, there are people who develop hypertension just maybe their children are giving them tough time. They are not getting time for themselves, they are not resting. So it comes from all angles. It could come from all angles. So you can't just say, oh, especially in Ghana, where we let's talk about situation with mental health, stress, depression, and all those things. But it is even more serious, because what happens is when you are stressed, the hormonal changes that you go through will go a long way to affect your BP, by the fact that the body will tend to secrete a lot more what we call um, um, adrenaline, because there's high secretion of adrenaline, and this secretion of adrenaline will cause the BP, the heart to be pumping faster than necessary. And the fact that the BP is pumping faster than necessary, it will automatically cause your cardiac output to go high. I mentioned earlier in the submission that when your cardiac output goes high, it will automatically will affect your BP. So the BP will start going high. So it is always very important we pay attention to our mental health, especially with stress. Because if care is not taken through that, because a lot of times people are having BP and you ask them, do you smoke? They say no. Do you drink? They say no. Do you eat late? They say no. You check their cholesterol, it's fine. You check everything. But you don't know where the problem is coming from. And mostly with this mental health situation, because there's not specific tests that you can do to identify, to find out if the person is having mental health problem or not. It is very difficult to get them diagnosed. If you are not well versed in some of these situations, it will go unnoticed. And if it goes unnoticed, that is when it starts causing problem for a lot of people. So it is also very, very important. Now we'll talk about the last point, which is the why? Yes. So
Sorry, Doc, you can unmute yourself. Now yet, yeah, too, Kasano. You can unmute yourself.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Oh, don't worry. So that is very important. So the last type of hypertension that this one only affects women during pregnancy is what we call gestational hypertension. Now, usually when women are pregnant, there are a lot of changes that they go through, what we call physiological changes. So these physiological changes will cause a lot of women developing hypertension. But the good thing about this gestational hypertension is the fact that if proper measures is taken, if proper modalities is put in place, they are able to revert back to normalcy after delivery. But there are a lot of them who probably might develop secondary hypertension as a result of that. A lot of women, after delivery, the BP doesn't go down. It stays with them and becomes part of them. So that is with gestational hypertension. But when it happens, you need to make sure you start taking proper measures right from the get-go. If not, there are a lot of women who have developed secondary hypertension as a result of gestational hypertension. So that is with the types of hypertension that we have. We spoke about the primary, which usually have no known cause. We spoke about the secondary hypertension, which will usually happen as a result of some underlying conditions and all that. And then the last one, or the last point, is the gestational hypertension, which only affects women during pregnancy. I would want to give maybe like 2 minutes for people if they have any question or any contribution so far before we delve into the other parts, like the signs, the symptoms, even when it happens, some of the tests that needs to be done, the complications. Then we will end it with the treatment modalities available for people who are dealing with this condition.
Mm.
Mashallah. Thank you so much, Doc. Jama'a kafin muna neman in wani na da wani tambaya ko wani comment kan abin da doctor ya faɗi muna sofa ya iya ya bari mu sani sai mu kawo ku ciki. Amma wani abu nake son ku duba
Mm.
game da statistics da na bayan nan. Kamar mu Africans haka mu da muka fito gida muka zo turan nan. In muka duba statistics nan, bi ma'ana Europe yana da one of the highest number of hypertension. Mu the same person, idan kana Ghana versus kana Europe ko America, kaga the same genes kenan gado the same muke da shi in terms of biology mu. Amma different continents, so garin da kake yana also determine ko za ka samu proper management wannan ciwo ko a'a lifestyle ka, 'yan gida, wani tafiya, wani shan herbs versus wayanda suke turai, sannan kuma shi dai determine ko ka samu waraka ko kuma management ko a'a. Sai sa don Allah don annabi jama'a mu duba lifestyle. Wani na da wani comment ko question ku tambaya kun ya ku shigo ciki yanzu, in ya so doctor ya bada jawabi kafin mu ci
Okay.
gaba.
Quick one, Dr. Halima.
Now,
So my
number
question
5.
has to do with it goes to doctor anyway. Regards to
Baba Mungo.
he mentioned in his first submissions, he mentions that when you check your hypertension, or let me say when you check your BP, it is not supposed to be on one time for you to be diagnosed as hypertension, like having a hypertension, but you have to do it 3 times on different occasions. Does it mean 3 times at the same hospital or 3 times in different facilities? I think I want to be clear on that.
That is a
Because
very good question. Doc,
in a case maybe I go to this hospital, do I have to go to a different hospital or the same hospital 3 times?
thank you very much. Doc, if our channel answers.
Yes.
Very good question, by the way.
Okay, so yes, I think it's a very, very important question. So what happens is usually it can be at the same facility, but it shouldn't be done the same day at different occasions. But especially when you're having doubts about the BP, the readings they are giving you, it is best to check like two different places and see how it goes. Because a lot of times, some of these BPs, the machine might even be at fault. There might be a problem with the machine, which is giving you false readings and all those things. You understand? So it can be at the same place, but at different occasions. So maybe you do it today, tomorrow you go and do it some other time, you get it done again. And for the three figures, we'll do a whole average BP for you. We put all those figures together and strike the average to see, okay, are you still within range or it is still very high? Better still, if the figures that they are giving you is way above normal, because ideally one way or the other we might have checked our BP once a while, so we know where we fall within. But all of a sudden you go to some facility and tell you your BP has gone high. No, when you're doubting yourself, quickly you try other facility, get a BP check, because of course, if for Ghana, I know if you want to check your BPs, you don't have to pay for anything, so you can check other place to get it checked, just so to be sure that you are getting correct figures for yourself. Because a lot of people have been misdiagnosed when it comes to BP, and they've been on BP medications for so long without them being like, without it not being the reality on check. You get it? So it is very, very important we pay attention to some of these little details, checking of the BP, the figures that you have been given. If you doubt yourself, my brother, kindly check, go to another facility and get it checked.
Doc, here comes a follow-up question in the same thing. In a situation that you find yourself in the hospital. For me, I'm using myself as an example. When I took my dad to the hospital, at the gun hospital, what happened was that was when they checked the BP, the upper numbers were somewhere 200 and something, and the down one was above 95. So quickly, we were sent to the emergency. So in this situation, you wouldn't have time to go and come back and recheck yourself. We were sent to the emergency, and right from the emergency, he got admitted. So in cases like this, how do you go about it? How will you know whether this is probably going to be based on the situation he had within that few days that shoot his BP upwards, or he is an hypertensive person?
Okay. So with regards to that, so I don't know whether your dad had a history with BP prior to the visitation or not.
I think prior to the visitation, that was our first time. You know, we saw him being unwell. It was like, okay, let's take him to the hospital. So we just passed the normal procedure, OPD, and then they check him. Right when they check his BP, and they realize that no, this is an emergency issue. 200 and
you say it was
one something in. Yeah, 200. Okay, so and I remember what the doctor was saying. He was expecting the man should be broke down, or maybe in a kind of stroke style. He was like, this is a miracle. Exactly.
Good. So yes, so in medicine, with these figures, we call something emergency hypertension. You understand? Anytime when you go to the hospital and we check your BP and it's 200 and over, okay, it is being termed as emergency hypertension. So for every practitioner, the first thing that they would do, even before any sort of test or diagnosis, is to make sure the BP comes down. Because we believe that with that kind of BP, you can develop stroke, you can develop heart attack, you can develop heart failure, you can develop so many conditions or complications as a result of that. So we always would want to bring down the BP before we even take our time to find out, okay, what is happening, to even take the history, what you're going through, what is wrong with you, are you taking any medication? We'll do some tests and other stuff for you for before so for your that situation. I understand it was an emergency hypertension, you get it, so the BP had to come down by all means possible before they go into the causes, and even if it was a true figure or not.
I think it makes
Thank you
sense now,
very
and
much.
I appreciate your explanation.
Thank you. Ambo Farmer Mungo de Allah Isaka de Doc, quick
All right.
question before we move to the next section.
And so
To give us a quick transition. How can herbal and scientific tools help to bridge the gap in the awareness, to help to bridge the awareness treatment gap of hypertension in the world, especially in Ghana?
okay, so yes, to your question, I think it's very important question. But what we all have to understand, all we have to understand is the fact that whether we like it or yes, herbal and alternative medicine is part of us as people. It is part of us as people. And with my experience in what I do now, that is using herbal and alternative medicine in management of a lot of conditions, of which hypertension has been one of them. We've realized that it is one thing that we all need to pay attention to, especially when it comes to conditions like hypertension and the likes, because mostly with the other side of medicine, for example, if your BP is going high and you go to the hospital, the only problem, their only problem is to give you medication for the BP to go down. Now, they don't even bother to find out why the BP is high in the first place. They don't give you medication to check, medication to check or to correct the underlying condition. So, for example, if your kidneys are not functioning well, that is causing the BP to go high, they will just give you medication just to always bring the BP to come down by different factors, either as a diuretic, whether as an ACE inhibitor, whether as a beta blocker, or whichever medium they would want to use. You understand? The only problem, the only thing they pay attention to is just to bring the BP down. Now, with alternative medicine and herbal medicine, mostly you realize that we try to identify the cause of the problem, which is always very, very important, trying to identify the cause of the problem. And then also trying to find solution to the cause of the problem. Because in order for you to be able to get rid of some of these conditions, it's always best to tackle the condition from the root cause. And if you are able to do that, you realize that at some point in that particular patient or whoever is having that condition, at some point in his or her life, they might not even need these antihypertensives or medications to correct their BPs. The only thing they need is lifestyle modalities, lifestyle changes. And that is one thing that we're not paying attention to. I always tell people who comes here, especially with the young ones, you understand, especially with the young ones, that if really you want to get rid of this hypertension problem, you need to be very conscious about what you do, being conscious about what you eat, being conscious about things you expose your body to, being conscious about everything around you. It is one thing that we all have to pay attention to because, Adia, whether we like it or yes, the food that we are eating, the food that they are bringing to us that we are eating now, it is the major cause of this problem. The things that they are telling us to do, oh, that if you do this, it means that we need to, una unim, what's up? Those things that they are telling us, it is what is causing our problems.
Those are myths. Just myths.
Because see, in the olden days, those fathers, grandparents, and all those people who were eating miyakuka and doing all sort, they were not having these hypertensions.
Walking.
They were not having it. So you ask yourself, why is it so common with us? Because if hypertension can be traced back as something that can be inherited within the family, why is it that our parents and grandparents and all those people didn't have it, but we are having it?
No.
Because they were deliberate about what they eat, the things they do, things they didn't do, and all that. So we should all be very careful. We should all be very careful about the things that we do. Because, Adia, I'm telling you, right now, for every home, when they cook, everyone is putting MSGs in their diet. MSGs is the things that we have in our spices that every day we have it on our radio, and these MSGs, we are not exercising. We are always, it is always about money, so we are always stressed. All these things will go a long way to affect how our BPs are, or whether we'll develop hypertension or not. So it is something that we have to pay attention to. And you see, in the olden days, our parents, grandparents were eating certain food, certain kinds of food that were even curing hypertension for them without them even knowing. The miyakuka, all those things, the prekese, all those things, the dawadawa, and those things that they were taking, were the same thing that were curing them. They were the same thing that were giving them health. Because right now, if I tell you dawadawa is one of the potent medications for hypertension, will you believe or not?
I'll believe you because I read a research paper from Nigeria, and I actually happened to meet the lead scientist at a conference in Washington D.C. many years ago. So since then, I'm like, oh wow,
Yes.
yeah,
But
I
right
took
now,
interest in that.
if you don't take care and you take dawadawa home, your children will be telling you, "Mommy, what is this? It smells so bad," Yes. So we have to be conscious about the things that we do,
Like
the
so
things that we see. I'm telling you, you go out in the market and they will tell you, oh, this is what oil. They are all not good. I'm telling you, they are all not good. They are just some paper
Doc,
that
be
they
giving us
printed
some
or
of
something.
examples of those oils so that people could be aware of it and not be consuming those
I
bad stuff.
always I always tell people that, see, especially if you are here in Ghana, you just do the local ones that we produce here, like the red oils, the coconut oils, and those ones are much better comparatively to those ones that we have in nice bottles and nice containers. It is always the best. See, they will tell you what flower oil or this nut oil or this. Where did they get those nuts for them to get the oil from? They are all processed. Where is the farm? Where are they getting those? The sunflower, where are they planting them? The sunflower oil they are telling, where are they planting the sunflower? Where is the farm? You get it? So we are just being brainwashed about all these things. So in order for it, just take the local ones. Make sure the local one that you are getting is from the right source. See, at times you can even buy the palm and produce your own oil in the house. Use them. They are much better. Just use them in moderation. If you want to use them in moderation. And because, see, me and you probably we don't have too much money to even buy these oils that we feel is the best. The ones in the market that we can buy are all not good. The cheap ones that you go when you go to Makola and they are there, they are selling, you think, oh, this one is cheap, you can buy. It is the same ones that has this bad cholesterol in it, that when you take them, it will build up within the body, within the lumen of the artery. It will make you start having these pot bellies. It will start depositing around the aorta and the heart and give you all these problems that we are always having. So we should all be very, very careful about some of these things.
Emma, thank you for joining us once again. I hope you're enjoying the program. Please, once again, if you have a question or you want to come and make a contribution, please send your request. Nkuna son kuzosa send muna request. Dr. Nasong, wanga is very interactive. Sai ko da yana bada lecture, kana da question, zaka iya tsayar da mu kai tambayan. Insha Allah. All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Aja me muna.
Kuribajin turanci na yayin Hausa.
Doctor na jin Hausa amma wanda bai understand ba mun gaya mai. Insha Allah.
Okay, nagode. Da zunaji yana cewa kaman da wuya waɗansu su zo a gane me mai ke damu sa suka samu BP ko hypertension. Da dama muna je magana da yawa amma magana zai ga kar kowa ya yi fushi muna kara juna ne. As a doctor dai na san wani zo rinka dai kai gwaji ka duba me matsalar me shi da daman sunan zulumi ke kashin su daya. Na biyu kuma a gaya ma duk wanda ke da pressure ko hypertension ya yi hankuri da yawa magana zai ga doctor ya yi hankuri kar ya fushi. In ka fara jin
kanka me kike nufi zulumi ke damun shi?
Da yawan nan zulumi ke kashin su hajiya kamar ban jin turanci da na turanci kin ji ko ne ku yi dariya.
No muna ji.
Abinda kamar mutum na ala misali kamar ina zo ina muna ce a ce ajiya Halima a ce Diana babba ne ko gidan da ajiya Halima ke da shi ga ko masa'in tanga duka yana kashe mutum. Ya bari kowa ya sani. Abinda baka da shi ne wanda ke da shi kai mai addu'a yana kashe mutane kamna mutane da yawa nan gan ka put me shi questions me damuwan ki cikin gida in me shi ya fara kura shi sai kuma ma ba wai ciwo me shi ke ba ya doki hankalin shi ya dibiya kan abu ya zama mai ciwo da daman sunan kuma ajiya kika putunta questions hasada da nukura ke damun su.
Yasa wanga kina nuna cewa shi ke cause BP ko dai watakila ba BP bane wani ciwo daban ne.
Ba ciwo ba ajiya ina gaya miki ana kamin mutane nan ga ka kwanta da hankalinka ka ba mai shi magani in ya zo kasa in kana tambayan shi menene magananta wallahi yara na shida ne ba wanda ya zama zakara ciki ba kaza tunane na kashin su.
Okay, so ajiya an kika duba dazu da doctor ke bada jawabi yayi maganan stress har ya bada irin wa'in examples
na je wannan magana na ji maganan gajiya
so ya faɗi wannan insha Allah
ya faɗi wai a gaskiya faɗi wai gajiya kuma na ciki ya gwada garukan da ke da wannan matsala bantale amma kika ce har da Ghana mun ga ko ba haka ba muna muke gida yan African ga kima da zuna jiki don ina jin turanci amma mar wannan ne bayan mayar
no that's good ina dai son audience su gane kaman that was one of the factors the doctor ya bayar cewa stress na kawowa. All right, so iya hankuri ajiya quickly she mu samu mu koma.
Kuma na uku
abinda kike so ki fadin da so she mu.
A yi hankuri da yawa sai ma doctor duk wanda ya gan wanda nasi ya kai 2 da 2 wani abu naman nan da ake dafawa ya ci da bacin dafaffen nama. Ya ci ko a gasa ko a soya ya bar mai shi ya samu kanshi. Amma ya yi hankuri magana nan ga kare ya yi fushi. Muna
No,
kara
it's
ma juna
okay.
ne
It's
saboda
okay.
Allah kare ya fushi.
No, Hajiya, ba
Kare
damuwa.
fushi da yawa.
Idan doctor ya kai kan wayannan da na san da ya faɗi. Don gaskiya ne soye-soye
Na gode.
in general bai da kyau yana kawo mana damuwa
Kwarai.
mutane ba su sani. Ba hypertension
Da
kaɗai ba,
dama.
da curuta da yawa.
Haka.
Masha Allah.
Haka.
Ngode doc,
Na
I
gode
hope you
kwarai, Hajiya.
understood what she said. Do you want me to explain it?
So I got some, but not all.
So she was saying that sometimes those people that come that they're so sick with the hypertension, it's usually stress that they're worried about. Oh, my
Yes.
children didn't do too well. They're not rich. They don't have this. They don't have that. So that helps to push their pressure so high and make them sick. So once you treat them
Yes.
and they come down and interview them, you realize that it is from stress. So I mentioned to her that you
Yes.
did mention stress as one of the factors that causes those things. Then secondly,
Yes.
she mentioned that people, for us to advise people not to be frying their meat. Instead of frying, maybe bake, broil, or roast or
Yeah.
something. It would help. So I told her, yeah, I'm pretty sure you are in agreement with that one too, because it is a problem with us frying things. So that was her contribution. She's also a herbal medical. She sells those magani that people use.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, that's wonderful submission. And yes, of course.
So Hajiya shi ma ya ji daɗi ya gamsu da submission. Baki ne ki apologize.
Wallahi na dole ne ajiya kaka taba hakin dan wanka. Ina tsoro.
Haka nan, babu damuwa, mun gode, Allah ya sa. Doc, we can continue, inshallah. So now I think you will give us some practical tips or some case studies from Amen Scientific as to how you
Yes,
manage
yes.
hypertension. Thank you.
All right. So, just as I was saying earlier, with regards to hypertension and its management, it is a very holistic process. It is not just mere taking of medication. No, the moment you do that, okay. So it is holistic process. You get this? Holistic in a sense that you can't just take your medication and feel the hypertension will go. No. And that is one mistake a lot of us do. We feel that the moment we've been to the hospital and we've been given medications, that ends it. No. Just as I mentioned earlier, medication taking is just one part of management of hypertension. It is just one part. And there are equally other factors that needs to be taken into consideration when you want to handle hypertension and make sure you get it treated, not to manage it but to get it treated. The first most important thing that we have to do and note is our diet. It is very, very important. Very, very important. Diet and hypertension. It is very, very important. Because, my dear, you can't take the medication and still be doing what you were doing 2-3 years back. The medication might not do anything for you. It might not do anything for you. So kindly take note with your diet when it comes to hypertension. You need to cut down salt. You need to cut down salt intake. Cut them down, salt. Because salt will always cause fluid retention within the body, which will cause the blood volume to increase and automatically affect your BP. So you need to always cut down salt intake when you are hypertensive. You see, as Muslims, for alcohol, we don't even have to go there. But if you do drink, please reduce it. If you do drink it, reduce it. I know for
This is
Muslims, we are not
very
supposed to drink.
important for us to explain. Iya hankuri wayanda ba su jin turancin abin da yake magana ne idan in terms of yanda ake kula da hypertension wannan ciwon hawan jinin wai ba magani kadai ba ne, ba magani kadai ke warkar da kai ba, ko da kana shan magani baka canza rayuwanka ba to ya zama maka damuwa. Abincin da muke ci yana da very very important. Abinci yadda muke yawan sa gishiri, wai gishirin na yana kawo damuwa domin ya bari jininka ya yi ruwa ya yi yawa. Idan ya yi yawa haka nan ya damu maka, ya ka maka blood pressure. Sai sa don Allah mu take note. Yawan cin gishiri bai da kyau. Bai da kyau mu kula da wannan abu. Thank you, doctor. Very, very important. Mun gode.
Yes. And then also we always have to eat a healthy diet. Healthy diet in the sense that your food that you are eating, make sure it is well balanced. How do you balance your food? You take fruits and vegetables, kakra. You eat dairy, kakra, for calcium and other benefits. You take the fruits and vegetables for potassium, magnesium, fiber, and all these things, just to help the body. You take dairy, kakra, for calcium, whole grain for fiber. You take, like things like fish for omega-3 fatty acids and all those things. Make sure, so like in general, make sure your diet is well balanced. A balanced diet is also very, very important in management of hypertension. Please make sure you are keeping a healthy weight. A healthy weight. Always make sure your body weight is fine. Your BMI. You are not obese. You are always within the ranges of what? The normal ranges of BMI. Don't put on more weight. Try and be physically active. Exercise more, move more, walk. At times, park your car and walk. It is not all the time that you sit in the comfort of your car. At times, park the car and pick trotro, walk small and pick trotro. When you alight at the junction, walk to your house. There are some people, they wake up in the morning, 2 steps to their washroom, after that 2 steps, 5 steps outside, pick their car, go and park, walk 3 steps to the office, sit in the air condition all throughout the day. They are eating in and out like that. Do the same thing, come back in the evening, bath and sleep. That is generally what they do every day. And this is very, very bad practice. So move more. Try and work a little bit. Exercise. It is very, very important. Walk. Please, there's this thing that's very common in Ghana, Ajia. You get into any traffic and people are selling energy drinks that contains a lot of caffeine in them, and people are taking it as if it's water or fruit juice. This caffeine in these energy drinks that you are taking will cause your BP to go high. So please, less caffeine. If you want to manage your BP well, you take your BP medication, you get into the traffic, then you are going to buy energy drink. I don't want to mention any name. You know them. The what and the what and you know them. Stop taking them. It will give you trouble. There's no way you're going to get over your BP if you are still doing all these things.
Doc, so thank you very much. Said Okyere has 2 questions for you. Said, unmute yourself, ka tambayan question ka da kake da shi, insha Allah.
Okay, Doc.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Just some things are just running off my head, and I think it's important to rally it with you to give me further clarification to that.
Okay.
One, I have 3 main things that I'm worried about. Normally people say hypertension is a silent killer. I don't know how you explain that to us.
Okay.
What makes it a silent killer?
Yes. Okay.
That is one.
Okay.
And with this, our urbanization moving from one place to the other, how does urbanization contribute to rising hypertension in Africa?
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you so much. I think so. Yes, with the first question, why hypertension is a silent killer? So mostly hypertension can go unnoticed for a very long time. So you see, just as our brother mentioned earlier, their dad was just sick. They took him to the hospital. They realized he was actually having very high hypertension, which was emergency. The doctors were even shocked that he was the one having that BP, probably walking into the facility like that. You get it? So it can go unnoticed. Most people have the hypertension and they are not showing any sign or any symptom. So that is why usually it is being termed as a silent killer. Before you realize the havoc has already been caused, the problem is already there, the heart attack has already come, the stroke has come in, all these complications has already started setting in already. So it kills you before you even notice it is there. So that is why it is a silent killer. Yes, with urbanization and hypertension, of course. Me, when I was growing up, I grew up in a village. When you wake up, okay, you go to school from Monday to Friday. But Saturday, you walk like 10 miles to the farm and back. When you go to the farm, you're going to work. You get it? So every day you see that people were actually, sort of engaged in some level of physical activity. They walk to the farm. You go to the north and all those places, they are always walking to their farm. When they go to the farm, they work. So even when they are eating, they are taking these fats and all those things. They are burning the calories because they are exerting. They are using. They need the energy. Me and you, because we are in the in urban areas and that, you wake up, you drive your car to the workplace, you sit inside air condition, you come back, come and sleep inside air condition. That is the routine of your lifestyle. There's no level of physical activity that goes on within the body, but you are always taking these fats, these carbohydrates, these fats, and they are building up in the system. I always say that cholesterol that the body needs, the liver has a tendency of producing about 60% daily. So in excess, it's just about 30% is what the body needs. But we tend to take in more cholesterol than necessary. And because it doesn't have storage space in the body, they start depositing, we call something visceral fats, abdominal fats, under the skin. So you start developing pot bellies. It starts, occluding the arteries, the lumens of the arteries. And when it happens that way, that is where poor blood circulation, impairment of blood circulation, and all those start setting in. If care is not taken, plaques will form. If these plaques finds itself in circulation, it could cause thrombosis, or it could cause what we call ischemic stroke and all those things, heart attack. So in that effect, urbanization is causing this hypertension in you. Then again, the kind of food that we are eating in this urban area, we might not even know the sources of these foods. Do you know the source of the food that you are eating? No. You get it? You don't know the source of it. So, but of course, in rural areas, you go to your farm, you planted the cassava yourself, or the plantain, or whatever. You did it yourself. The vegetable, you did it yourself. The fruit, you did it yourself. So you just go into the farm, plug this fruit or this food, then you come and prepare it yourself and eat it. So in that regard, in urban areas, you don't even know the source of, you don't even know what was put on the food that you are eating, whether it's having negative effect on you or not. So all these things, and in urban areas, is each one for himself, God for us all. So you don't even get to socialize. You come, we are all having four walls. You enter the four corners of your room, and that's it. So even when you are stressed, you don't even have someone to share your problem with. You don't get people to talk to. So we tend to develop, stress and all these things, and all these things goes a long way to affect our health, especially when it comes to hypertension that we are talking about this afternoon.
Okay. So, in other words, what public health strategy can help to reduce this hypertension?
Yes, so I think as people, we can always go back to the basis. You understand? We can always go back to the basis. Just as I was mentioning about some of the things that we need to pay attention to. Because, of course, for example, if the hypertension is there already, there are certain things you need to, whether you like it or yes, you need to do. And if it's not there, there are certain things that you have to start doing them so as to prevent you from getting there in the first place. That is, the way of life, lifestyle changes. If you are doing things that you think is not right, you're eating, you're exercising, your socialization, and all these three things, if you pay key attention to them, if you are eating right, if you are exercising, if you are socializing right, just to make sure your mental health, your sanity is always in check, it will go a long way to help us. It will go a long way to help us. So I think it's one thing that we all as people, we should pay attention to.
Okay. Okay.
Mashallah.
Thank you, Doc.
Mun gode.
What about
Yes, sir.
is hereditary a factor?
Yes, so a lot of research has shown that if either of the parents or both are having the condition, there's a tendency of you developing hypertension. But that statement doesn't mean that if your parent had hypertension, automatically you're also going to have hypertension. No, especially when you start taking some of these things that we are mentioning serious. You are not drinking, you are not taking too much salt, you are not taking a lot of caffeine. Just as you know that when you get into the traffic, energy drinks are like the way they sell water in traffic. People are taking in a day, someone can take energy drink like 4 times or three times of energy drink. As if, I'm sorry for my words, as if they are crazy. I don't know why they do that. You understand? We are copying blindly. We feel, of course, now if you're a young man and you get a new girlfriend, and you don't get a girl pizza, she feels that they own him so you kolo, so all these mindsets, it's not good for us. So we all need to start going back to the basis. And just as I mentioned, our forefathers, our grandparents were doing things that were killing them directly or indirectly. The dawa they were taking, the mia kuka, all those things. Right now, if you are cooking dawa in the house, maybe your children will start telling you the scent is so bad, But all these things are medicinal. Although they were food, but their food were their medicine. So it is not too late for us to go back. It is never too late. It is one thing that we can all start the advocacy, and it will go a long way to help a lot of people. Because Adia, I tell you, if you are at the hospital and you see the number of cases of hypertension the number of cases that are coming, you'll be shocked. And the kind of complications that's giving a lot of people. Recently, I had a case, 35-year-old boy suffered stroke because he had hypertension and he was not taking his medication. 35 years, very young, 35 years. So it's very serious. It's very, very serious, and we all need to. And you see, some of these things, unless you've experienced it firsthand before you can really appreciate some of these things. when we tell you, oh, don't, because of course, I'm telling you,
Don't
it
forget,
is so
send in your
bad.
request so we can pick you up for your questions, inshallah.
It is
Now I'm
so
done.
bad that there are a lot of things that we do. Like for example, people who are selling like say what do you call it? Yam, the fried yam by the roadside. The pepper they produce, it will surprise you to know they put these spices inside just to make it sweet for people to take. You maybe in the morning you don't want to eat, you want to buy boiled egg and take by the roadside. The pepper they are giving you has this maggi inside. It is crazy. They put all sort of stuffs on things that they are selling, all in the name of making it sweet or making I don't know. So it's serious. It is serious. It is something as people we because me and you alone might not be able to effect serious change, but then of course if we put our health together and do some of these educations, give this education to our people and tell them, let them understand the reality on grounds. Maybe we can effect something, especially with our with our communities. That is the Zongo communities. We have to do it. If not, some few years to come, all of us will be gone from hypertension. It is serious. It
Yeah.
is serious.
Dog, there's something that also crossed my mind now. I think I don't know how you're gonna explain this. Is this
Aja
aphrodisiac?
Megil, wa alaikum assalam.
People want to
Okay.
show that they are strong in bed, trying. So today I have this lady coming. Let me take in this to enhance my performance. Blah blah. How does that affect and linking it to hypertension? How does the link come in?
Yes,
MashaAllah.
yes.
Doctor, please do now go into details on this one. We'll be planning a different program specifically
Okay.
for these sort of things. But you can briefly
Okay.
answer. And then we'll get back
Okay.
on track for you to
All
give us
right. All
some
right.
practical
So
tips on for how
yes,
people to
yes.
manage
So
hypertension. Inshallah.
you realize that people who mostly abuse some of these aphrodisiacs have a lot of complications, not just hypertension. Of course, it can affect their BPs. I've seen someone die from these aphrodisiacs, like instead of because of this mindset that I want to be strong, this girl that I have match with, I need to show her or something of that sort. So the medication that the person has to take one, he took three. He took three of that particular medication, not knowing he's hypertensive. And on the way to the girl's place, he collapsed and died on arrival at the hospital. It is serious.
Subhanallah.
I'm telling you a real
Please
story.
start over.
I
I'm
wish where
telling
is not
you.
Said's friend. Said, is that not your friend?
Nah, nah.
Subhanallah.
So,
Oi,
yes. So
where they do
please
six
see,
and law so.
I'm telling you, and a lot of people are having input. Now they are the little that they are having that they wanted to take aphrodisiac. Now they have nothing. The erection card, they can't get it ever again. Impotence, flat. As a result of some of these abuses with aphrodisiacs and stuff. So please, I always say with this kind of thing, it is very complicated process. So you need to actually understand where your problem is coming from before even if you take medication, you take it in the first place. So please let's desist from all this stuff. I'm telling you, if you go on the street, there are a lot of things people put together or people take all in the name of sex. And at times I wonder. Some of us who are married, maybe even if you do just once, you are tired. You are tired. What then do you have to be going 5 rounds and or my boss, you can go 5 rounds.
Oh, nah.
Also, only there 20 or 20 rounds per.
Oh, nah.
So yes, so let's be mindful about some of these things. Very, very important. I'm happy you mentioned that you have a topic like that. We
Yes,
so that
yes.
we can delve more
Sebeka
into
later,
that
yeah, on it. I really would like
and
us to tackle that too. And it's everywhere,
educate
with dog.
people.
It's not just Ghana. Even here, well, like we have one street
Ah,
where atuntum for be brain. When you walk on the
uh-huh.
street, you see wraps of these things. Some of these pills
Oh,
that they take. Well, like if you see the size of the pill alone, that should scare you. And many
wow.
researchers have warned about it. People don't take these things serious, but they will cause you heart attack. Like, right? The people are
Yeah.
not realizing this. Your kidneys will fail, your liver. People don't realize it, like, but very dangerous. I don't know what kind of enjoyment we're looking for, and even if we call it enjoyment, I think it's craziness.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Mashallah. So, doctor, at this point,
Yeah.
if you could give us some uh, practical tips for people to be able to manage their pressure, like typical one, a case from your practice. One. Secondly, how can people monitor their blood pressure from home without having to go to the hospital? Inshallah.
Okay. So so practical tips that I you have to take home when it comes to hypertension is the moment you've been diagnosed of hypertension, you need to accept it in good faith and start working towards it. Because a lot of time we realize when people are being diagnosed of this condition, they tend to doubt themselves. Oh, and you know, correct. I don't think I have this condition. It is always better to accept your faith and start working towards it. That is the first point of call. And then also, whatever medication that you are taking, make sure you are compliant on the medication. Because a lot of times you realize these complications come as a result of non-compliance of medications. So the person knows that he or she is hypertensive, but she's not taking the medication for 2 weeks, for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, before you realize complications has already set in. So you have to take your medications. Secondly, always try and maintain a healthy weight. Healthy weight. Always try. Always try. It should be one of your priorities. Maintain a healthy weight. The mere fact of you maintaining a healthy weight can affect your BP positively. It can make it, come normal. So maintain a healthy weight. Please try and stay active. Always try and stay active. Stay active. Make sure you are reducing intake of fats and oils. Anything fat, anything oil, make sure you are limiting the intake of these things. When you are even when you are not diagnosed of hypertension, this point is goes for everyone. But most importantly, people having hypertension. You limit intake of sugar and all these stuffs, sugary substance, limit them and limit salt intake. Make sure you are eating well. Eat varieties. Eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Eat a lot of cereals, whole grain, and all those things. Make sure you are eating right. A well balanced meal. And then also make sure you are checking or speaking to people, especially when you feel you are stressed. Stress management, very, very important. Try and manage your stress so well that it wouldn't worsen your situation when it comes to hypertension. So you take your medication, you exercise, you stay active, you maintain a healthy weight, you limit your salts and sugar and all these sweet intake, you limit intake of fats and oil, make sure you maintain your stress. I think with these things, whilst you're taking your medication and all that, with these things, it will go a long way to help you. Take home, there are certain things that we can add to our food that could go a long way to help manage hypertension. Things like prekese. Prekese, I don't know how they call it in Hausa. It is very, very good.
Like Dr. Mitu, I don't know. Don Allah wanda ya san yadda ake kiran prekese cikin Hausa ya rubuta muna ko ya zo ya gwada muna. Mr. Said ban sani ba ko kai ka sani. Ka gwada muna prekese. Don na ga mutane especially Kumasi suna use sosai ko irin fanti-fantin nan. Masha Allah.
So dawa dawa is one food that we can all add to our meal. It is very, very important. You see, you can even blend them together as a powder and take them. Just take them with hot water every day. In the morning, you put them in warm water, stir it and take them. Very, very important. These two things, prekese and dawa dawa for hypertension. If you get these things and whatever medication you are taking, you add it to it, constantly check your BP. You are going to see a lot of difference in the BPs that you'll be recording. And that is what I will end today's section with. Prekese and dawa dawa. We are all looking for the name of prekese in Hausa. If you get it, kindly put it in the comment section for us to know. And with these two, I know inshallah it will go a long way to help.
Thank you so much. By the way, Jama'a, don Allah don Annabi wanda ya san sunan prekese cikin Hausa ya bari mu sani. Amma last words in da doctor ya kira shine to in baka sani ba kuma ka je ka nemi sunan shi mu ma muka find out mun bar ku sani. Amma wai prekese da daddawa mu yi kokari mu bari yana cikin abincin mu ko da wani lokaci ya da mu iya mu yi one way ya gwada mana. Wai in kana so gama daddawa da shi prekesen nan ka nika da safe samu ruwa mai dumi ka zuba ciki she ka sha. In ya so kuma kana shan magungunan ka da aka baka na hypertension in ka je ka check bipin ka da aka ga kamar ya zo kasa. Yasa don Allah mu keep wannan in mind. Kun ga kuma na sa wani picture nan ga wanda ke gwada mana amfanin tafiya. Kamar yadda ɗazu doctor ya ba mu shawara wai ko da lore kake tukawa kullum kai dai once in a while ba chlorine nan tafiya ya taimake ka. Zamanin da iyayenmu da kakanninmu wa'annan ababen suka yi da ya taimaka musu sosai ya zama na lokacin su nan ba a samun illa da yawa game da hypertension. Amma yanzu kuwa fa yau a ce maka kamar America sukutun mutane wurin 47% of the population are battling hypertension. Ka san abu ne da ke da mahimmanci sosai sai sa jama'a don Allah mu yi la'akari tafiya daddawa prekese yana taimako ba hypertension kadai ba da wasu cututtuka da yawa duka wannan abin yana magance shi. Yasa jama'a kaɗan da damu faɗi kenan game da programin mu na yau. With that, yes doc. Now Said. Now muna
just a quick one. I think one common problem da muke da shi, we don't like to share our problems. Like there's so much in that person that he needs to bring it out. You know, the moment you bring something out from you, you become free of it. But when you keep it to bring it out, it will help it to curb this issue of hypertension.
So kana gwadawa kada mutane suna sa magana cikin zuciyansu.
Yes.
Su rinka fitowa suna magana.
Like
yes.
Out, at least you have one one or two people that you know you can trust with those things. Okay, one kaza abi yake damu na gashi. Then at the end of the day, you get a solution, even if not solution, like you feel you've shared your problem with somebody.
So yeah, help you relieve stress.
Yeah,
Kamar
help.
yanda
It goes a long way to
azu
help.
Hajiya me ta gaya muna da kuma doctor
Yes.
ya ba mu shawara batun wurin stress nan. So gaskiya ne insha Allah mun gode Allah ya saka ma kowa da alhairi. Bari in juya kuma cikin turanci. From the depth of my heart, na son in ce muku thank you very much. Doc, tonight was more than just a talk on blood pressure. It was a gathering of intention, a circle of care, and a reminder that our bodies are an amana, trust from Allah to be honored, protected, and understood. Dr. Ochu, thank you for not just sharing knowledge, but for wrapping it up in compassion and cultural wisdom that speaks directly to our communities. Your insights have empowered us, and your voice has helped shift the silence around hypertension. To our beloved audience, you showed up, whether you stayed 10 minutes, 1 minute, or the full hour, whether you commented, liked, or shared, or just listened quietly. You are part of the movement to change the narrative of Zango, to make together our community a healthier place for us. May Allah bless you for every step you take towards your own health and the well-being of your loved ones. May this be counted among your sadaqah to Jariyah. We are not done. Join us for a live program on VitaScope with Dr. Halima, where we tackle the real raw necessary conversations for thriving in body, mind, and soul. So Jama, stay tuned. Gobe insha Allah will bring wayansu malumma da da su zo su yi mana magana game da divorce da dukkan ababen da za su iya su gwada mana game da divorce cikin musulunci. Kuma za a yi question and answer. Sai sa gobe ku join mu war haka insha Allah. Dr. Okyere, once again, thank you very much. Watch out for the posts program, inshallah. Now post wasu videos, chicken wanga. And the full video will be on YouTube on VitaScope with Dr. Halima. Salamu alaikum. Said mun gode sosai. Question sinka. Ya help mu da dama Allah ya saka da alkhairi.
Said is my boss, so.
Ah, really?
Yes, he's my boss.
Oh wow, mashallah. Boss mun gode Allah ya saka da alkhairi. Thank you for letting us borrow Dr. Okyere from you. These hours. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Jama'a nan da mu tsayar da program mu insha Allah.